do bad things happen to good people? A deeper look through wisdom. Imagine waking up one morning with a hopeful heart. You're ready to embrace the day with kindness and good intentions. You speak gently, act with care, and aim to do your best. And then, suddenly, something goes wrong. An accident, a loss, or a moment of unfairness strikes without warning. Why does this happen? Why do good people, those with the purest hearts, seem to suffer the most? Think of the gentle neighbor who's always there for others, yet faces deep personal hardships, or the devoted mother who gives everything for her family, but still endures immense sorrow. Why does life feel so unfair at times? Why does pain often visit those who least deserve it? Perhaps you've been there too, betrayed by someone you trusted, or battling illness despite living mindfully. These moments leave us wondering, is there a deeper reason behind this suffering? Or is it just random chance? Some people seem to glide through life untouched, while others stumble again and again. Is life just unfair? Or are we missing something more profound? Let's reflect on the story of an old farmer, someone who always shared his harvest with those in need. One year, a violent storm destroyed everything he had, yet he remained calm, kind, and full of grace. How is it possible to face such hardship with so much peace? Welcome to Insightful Journey, where we explore life's greatest questions through the lens of ancient teachings and timeless insight. Today, we begin a journey to understand why bad things happen to good people, not through cynicism, but through compassion and clarity. If this topic speaks to you, please like this video, share it with someone you love, and subscribe for more reflections that nourish the soul. Your thoughts matter. We'd love to hear your voice in the comments below as we grow this community of seekers together. In Buddhism, suffering is not just pain. It is a path that teaches impermanence, interconnection, and the quiet power of inner peace. When something painful happens, it's easy to label it as misfortune, punishment, or cruel fate. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to look deeper, to see the invisible threads behind our experiences. Often what appears as random suffering may actually be the unfolding of unseen causes or the arrival of lessons our hearts are ready to learn. Pain can become a gateway, not to despair, but to transformation, not to weakness, but to compassion. Goodness does not guarantee an easy life, but it plants the seeds of strength, insight, and grace. In this series, we will gently unfold the truths that help make sense of suffering, truths that bring light, comfort, and perspective to anyone who has ever asked, "Why me?" Think of a seed buried in the earth. It does not resist or question the darkness. It simply rests, knowing that with time, it will rise. Life moves in much the same way, through cycles of cause and effect that may not be visible, but are deeply real. Many people see suffering as unfair, but ancient wisdom teaches us about karma, not as punishment or reward, but as a natural law of cause and effect. Just as a seed becomes a tree, our actions, seen or unseen, create ripples that shape our future. Still, you might ask, if karma is real, why does it seem so invisible? Why do good actions sometimes bring hardship and wrong actions seem to go unpunished? Because karma unfolds across time, sometimes over days, sometimes over lifetimes. Imagine watching a river. You see the flowing water, but not the mountain springs and distant rains that feed it. In the same way, our present moment is shaped by streams of cause that go far beyond what we can see. When a good person faces hardship, it doesn't mean they have done wrong. It may mean they are experiencing the results of past actions, perhaps from long ago, even before this life. Karma is not a balance sheet. It's a living current. What matters is not guilt or blame, but awareness. Each moment is a chance to plant better seeds. Speak harshly, and those words may return as pain. But speak with kindness, and you water the seeds of peace and joy for yourself and others. This law of karma invites us to live with presence. Every thought, every action carries weight, not just now, but in shaping what comes next. Even the smallest act of compassion can blossom into unexpected beauty. Even one careless moment can echo in unseen ways. Yet karma is not fate. It is not fixed. Like a river, we can shift its course through mindful choices and sincere effort. So as we walk this path together, may we remember, suffering is not the end of the story. It is often the beginning of awakening. Pain does not make you weak. It invites you to grow deeper roots. Goodness may not protect you from every storm, but it will teach you how to stand strong through them. If this message touched your heart, stay with us in this series as we explore more stories and teachings that help us face life's trials with wisdom, grace, and hope. Together, we'll find the answers hidden beyond the pain, answers that bring peace, meaning, and strength. The gentle truth of karma. Why suffering can be a path to awakening. In Buddhism, karma is often likened to the work of a gardener. The gardener prepares the soil, pulls out the weeds, and plants each seed with mindful care. Whether the harvest is rich or sparse depends not on luck, but on the effort and intention poured into that tending. So it is with our lives. We are each gardeners of our own mind, of our thoughts, our words, our actions. When we cultivate peace, compassion, and wisdom, we plant seeds that will one day blossom. But it's important to remember, karma is not a system of blame. It does not say, you suffer because you deserve it. Rather, it reflects. It's a mirror showing us the patterns we've created, sometimes knowingly, often unknowingly. Karma is not about punishment. It is about learning, about growth, about becoming more awake. At times, suffering becomes the teacher. It reveals where we cling, where we resist, where we fail to see clearly. In our pain, we may come to deeper understanding. We may soften into greater compassion for ourselves and for others. The Buddha taught that karma is like a turning wheel. Each action spins it forward, shaping the journey of our life. But that wheel is not beyond our control. Through mindfulness and right effort, we can guide its direction toward joy, toward freedom. Many people feel afraid when they hear the word karma. They feel guilt, fear, or shame. But the heart of the teaching is gentle, not harsh. It says, you can change, you can begin again. Every breath is a fresh start. When you look at your life through this lens, you begin to see that every experience, whether joyful or painful, is not random, but part of a greater whole. Like waves rising and falling on the ocean, each moment flows from what came before and gives rise to what comes next. There is no judge handing down punishments or rewards. The universe is more like a mirror. It reflects back the energy we send out. This is the quiet, powerful truth behind karma. In this understanding, we don't wait for justice to arrive from outside. We become the source of our own healing. We plant seeds today, trusting that the fruit will come in its time. This awareness brings a subtle kind of freedom. When you stop blaming fate or others or yourself, you step into your own power. You become the gardener of your life. Even when storms come, you remain rooted. You face life not as a victim, but as a student of its lessons. With practice, this wisdom deepens, and at the heart of it, you'll find something unexpected: kindness. Kindness is the essence of karma, Not judgment, not fear. Kindness toward yourself. Kindness toward all beings. So the next time you wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? Remember, karma is not a judge. It is a guide. It calls us to live with more care, more compassion, more awareness. Each moment is a new seed. Each action is a chance to grow something beautiful. Even in the soil of suffering, awakening can bloom. Unseen seeds, how past lives shape. Present pain. In the stillness of morning, when the mind is clear and the world is quiet, let us reflect on a deeper truth, one that is often hidden. The troubles you face today, the sorrow that seems to appear without cause, may not be strangers. They may be old companions, seeds sown long ago, buried deep in the soil of your current life. Think of a tree. The fruit it offers today did not appear overnight. It grew from a seed, nurtured over seasons, through storms and sunlight. So too, the events of your life have roots you cannot always see. Some people ask, why me? Why now? What have I done to deserve this? These questions are natural, but they touch only the surface. Buddhism teaches that karma means action, not just physical action, but intention, speech, thought, everything we create. These actions flow together like drops into a river, shaping its course. This river of karma does not begin or end with this one life. It flows forward, sometimes silently, from life to life, carrying the impressions and consequences of past choices. You may not remember the seed you planted, but you are living with its fruit. Some seeds ripen quickly. Others take time. Some wait for the right season, sometimes even lifetimes, to emerge. So if you are suffering now, it does not mean you are cursed or punished. It may mean that something hidden is coming to the surface, not to break you, but to teach you, to complete a cycle, to offer you an opening. Imagine a farmer planting a field. Some crops rise fast, others remain dormant for months, even years, but every seed has its moment, and so do you. When hardship arrives, don't turn away in despair. Look with gentle eyes. Ask not, why is this happening to me? But what is this trying to show me? Because even pain, when seen through the eyes of wisdom, becomes a teacher. Even difficulty can become a doorway to peace. So remember, karma is not a rule book. It's not about guilt. It's about cause and effect, action and response. It's about how we live, how we grow, and how we awaken. You are not bound by your past. You are empowered by the choices you make now. Be the gardener of your heart. Plant kindness. Speak truth. Act with awareness. And trust that, in time, the seeds you sow will bloom. The river flows on, and so do we. Let us flow with it, gently, wisely, and with an open heart. Why do we suffer? The hidden seeds beneath our pain. If you suffer, it is not because life is unfair. It is because life is a tapestry, woven from many threads. Some of those threads were spun by your own hands long ago. Some were given to you by others. Some were shaped by forces you cannot see or remember, and yet all of them come together in this present moment. When we begin to understand this, we stop seeing life as a balance sheet of rewards and punishments. We begin to sense the quiet intelligence behind all things, a law deeper than fairness, the law of cause and effect. You are not alone in your pain. All beings carry within them seeds from the past, unseen, unremembered. Some of those seeds blossom into joy, others bloom as challenge, loss, or sorrow. But every seed has something to teach us. Consider the story of a man born into poverty. His life was filled with hardship, and yet he remained generous and kind to all. People often wondered, why does someone so good suffer so much? What they could not see was this. In a past life, this man may have sown seeds through actions rooted in selfishness or neglect. His current suffering was not a punishment, but the natural ripening of those seeds. More importantly, his kindness in this life was the planting of new seeds, seeds that would one day bloom into peace, into joy. This is the deeper wisdom. You are the gardener of your own life. Each thought, word, and deed is a seed you plant. What grows may not be instant, but it is certain. When you act with mindfulness and compassion, you reshape your future, this life and the next. Even in suffering, you are not trapped. You are cultivating. This understanding brings freedom. It frees you from bitterness, from blame, from despair. It helps you see suffering not as a cruel twist of fate, but as part of a natural unfolding, an opportunity to grow. You may ask, how can I stop this cycle of pain? The answer is simple, yet profound. Through mindful presence, through compassionate action, through choosing each moment with care. Every sunrise brings the chance to begin again. Every breath is a return to the present, and the present, this very moment, is fertile soil. Your past is not your prison. Your future is not fixed. The river of karma flows on, but you have the power to gently guide its course. Even in times of hardship, you can still plant seeds of peace. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching. Yes, suffering exists, but so does a path beyond suffering. By recognizing the causes of your pain, you gain the power to shape what comes next. So when bad things happen, don't see them as senseless. See them as seeds, coming to fruition, asking to be understood. See them as teachers, guiding you to deeper awareness. When you meet your suffering with open eyes and a compassionate heart, you transform it. Your pain becomes a tool for awakening. Your wounds become windows to wisdom. Think of your life as a vast garden, rich, layered, alive. Some flowers bloom now. Others are still beneath the soil, waiting for their time. Tend this garden with care. Do not despair over what has not yet blossomed. Do not mourn the seeds you did not know you planted. Focus instead on what you can do now. Every kind word waters the earth. Every moment of patience is sunlight. Every small act of goodness shapes your future. We may never understand every thread that weaves our existence. Life's mysteries run deep. But through mindfulness, compassion, and courage, we can walk this path with grace. This is the Zen way, to accept what is, to see beyond the surface, to cultivate peace in the heart, even amidst the storms. Your past is not a weight, it is a map. Your present is not a test, it is a sacred opportunity. Your future is not a verdict, it is a field of infinite possibility. Let this truth settle gently in your heart, like morning dew on a lotus petal. Let it calm your spirit. Let it remind you of your power to plant the seeds of kindness, to grow a life of beauty, not only for yourself, but for all beings, the bloom of compassion. When suffering opens the heart in the quiet hours, when the world seems to fall apart, something mysterious stirs within the human heart. It opens, it softens, it begins to feel not just its own sorrow, but the pain of others. This is the beginning of true compassion. Suffering, strange as it seems, often becomes the great teacher. It is harsh, yes, but it teaches what joy alone cannot. It shows us what matters. It helps us see each other more clearly. When good people suffer, their natural kindness often grows stronger. Like a flower blooming through frozen ground, their compassion shines brightest in the darkest times. This is the paradox of life. The heart breaks, and from those cracks, light pours out. Imagine a still lake. On a calm day, the surface is smooth and silent. But when a stone falls in, ripples move outward, far and wide. In the same way, suffering sends ripples through the soul. And in those ripples, if we're open, something shifts. Something beautiful begins to grow. In Buddhism, compassion is not just a feeling. It is a way of being, a practice, a path. Let your suffering become that path. Let your sorrow soften you, not harden you. Let it open the door to love for yourself and for the world. The awakened heart, how suffering opens the door to compassion. When the heart begins to stir from the sleep of self-centered thoughts, it sees something it had long ignored. All beings are bound by a quiet, invisible thread, the thread of suffering. This thread is not a curse. It is a bridge. It ties us together, not to punish, but to unite. We spend much of our lives trying to avoid suffering, treating it like a mistake, something bad that shouldn't happen to good people. But in truth, suffering holds the power to awaken something deeper. It softens the boundary between self and other. It opens us not with ease, but with truth. When someone suffers, their pain becomes visible in a new way. We feel their loneliness, their grief, their fear, not because we've lived their exact story, but because pain speaks a universal language. And in that language we begin to understand. Kindness is not just what we give when it's easy. True kindness is standing beside someone when their world has collapsed. It is staying present in the darkness, even when we can't fix the night. In this way, suffering is not meaningless. It calls us to awaken, to rise beyond the small shell of our own concerns and touch something sacred, compassion. Compassion grows from hardship. It is nourished by the tears of both giver and receiver. It blooms in the places where the heart has been broken open. A Zen master once said, "The wound is where the light enters you." Pain cracks the armor of the heart, and through that opening, compassion seeps in. It begins as a quiet shift, and that shift changes everything. The strength of the open heart that many think compassion is weakness, but it is one of the greatest strengths. It takes courage to feel deeply, to open your heart again after being hurt, to show up for someone else when you yourself are still healing. This courage does not shout. It whispers. It does not seek glory. It simply longs to ease the pain of others. So when you face your own suffering, remember, this may be the beginning of your compassion. Your pain can teach you to be tender with yourself. And when you learn to be gentle with your own wounds, you begin to offer that same gentleness to others. We live in a world full of change, a world where nothing is certain and no one escapes suffering. But suffering can awaken us to something greater than the pain itself. A peace that is stronger than hardship, because it comes from understanding. In the storm, let the heart bloom. Imagine two people caught in the same storm. One hardens, closing the heart like a fist. The other opens, like a lotus blooming in the rain. Which one finds peace? The path of compassion may not shield us from the storm, but it teaches us how to walk through it with grace. This awakening of the heart is not always sudden. It often begins as a tiny seed, hidden beneath fear, buried under pain. But with patience, with mindfulness, with time, the seed begins to sprout. Mindfulness helps us see our suffering without being swallowed by it. It gives us space to breathe, to feel fully, but not be broken. And in that space, compassion finds its home. Loving kindness starts within. So often, we are harsh with ourselves when we suffer. We forget that we, too, are worthy of care. The Buddha taught that loving kindness begins with oneself. Only when we learn to be kind to our own pain can we truly be kind to the pain of others. Suffering has a way of stripping life down to its essence. In the face of hardship, superficial concerns fall away. What remains is raw, honest, and deeply human. The need to be seen, to be understood, to be loved. This is why suffering matters. It tears down illusion and reveals the truth. All beings long to be free from pain. All beings long for happiness. Let compassion rise. So when life brings pain, don't close your heart. Let it open wide like the sky. In that openness, compassion will rise. It will shine its light not just outward, but inward too, healing you, transforming you. We don't choose suffering, but we can choose how we respond to it. And every choice made with compassion sows a seed of healing. Even the smallest act, a kind word, a quiet presence, a patient ear, can carry profound power. These simple acts, born of an awakened heart, soften the world. They mend what is torn, they light the dark. So when life feels chaotic, unfair, or heavy, remember, inside you is the seed of compassion. It may feel small, but with care, it will grow strong. And that strength will not come from avoiding pain. It will come from meeting pain with love. This is how compassion changes everything. This is how the awakened heart learns to shine. The mirror of misfortune, awakening through suffering. Suffering teaches us a surprising truth, that bad things happening to good people is not a cruel mistake of the universe, but part of the sacred journey that awakens the deepest parts of our humanity. It calls us, gently and sometimes fiercely, to be present, to live fully, and to love more deeply than before. In this way, suffering becomes a path, not only to understanding pain, but to understanding love. The mirror of misfortune. When misfortune visits, it often feels like a harsh mirror is held before us. The reflection we see is not always what we expect. Sometimes, it doesn't just show our troubles. It reveals the hidden truths beneath them. This mirror, though uncomfortable, shows us parts of ourselves we may have forgotten or ignored. And within those reflections are lessons wrapped in disguise. Think for a moment when something went wrong in your life. You lost something precious, faced betrayal, or deep disappointment. At first, it may have felt like the world turned against you. Your heart may have clenched with anger, sorrow, or confusion. But if you sat quietly with those feelings, beneath the surface you might have discovered a quiet message. This is not punishment. This is invitation. This is awakening, facing the reflection. The mirror of misfortune asks us to look honestly at ourselves. Are we clinging to expectations that no longer serve us? Are we holding on to what causes our own suffering? Beyond the pain, in the stillness, clarity waits. But clarity does not come easily. It takes courage to face the reflection without turning away. Many run, seeking distractions, casting blame. But the mirror does not break. It waits. And when we are ready, we see. And when we see, something inside us softens. In Zen, it is said that suffering can become the path to freedom. When we stop resisting what life reveals, we begin to learn. The tree in winter. Each hardship becomes a guide, pointing gently to where our attachments live, where our fears hide, and where compassion longs to grow. Like a tree in winter, we may appear bare and lifeless. But beneath the surface, life flows. The roots grow deeper. The tree waits patiently for spring. So too can we endure the cold seasons of life, trusting in what we cannot yet see. The slow work of healing. This reflection also teaches us patience. We live in a world that rushes, that demands quick answers, fast healing, instant peace. But true growth is slow, gentle. It comes like the river shaping the stone, not in an instant, but through the quiet persistence of time. Suffering reshapes us, not with violence, but with grace. The web of connection. There is another truth the mirror reveals. Everything is connected. Our misfortunes are not isolated. They ripple outward, touching lives we may never know. In suffering, we begin to understand others more deeply. Our pain becomes a bridge to the pain of others, and that bridge is the foundation of real compassion. Buddhism teaches that life is like a flowing river, ever-changing, never still. Misfortune is part of this movement. It teaches us to hold lightly to both joy and sorrow, to flow with life rather than against it. Beyond the self-hardship often narrows our gaze, trapping us in our own story. But suffering can also widen our view. It can show us how our actions affect others, how others struggle in ways we never imagined. And in that shared humanity, healing begins. We see we are not alone. Our pain is not a sign of failure, but of a heart capable of love and transformation. Humility and forgiveness. The mirror of misfortune teaches humility. It reminds us that we are part of something greater than ourselves. This humility is not weakness. It is the softening of pride, the melting of fear. It opens the heart to learning, to forgiving, both others and ourselves. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or condoning harm. It means releasing the burden that keeps us trapped in the past. It is the untying of knots in the soul. Gratitude in the darkness. The mirror also teaches gratitude, yes, even in pain. Gratitude is not just for joy. It is the light that helps us see in the darkest moments. When we notice the small kindnesses, the quiet clarity, the simple breath that carries us through pain, healing begins. Gratitude shifts our gaze from what is lost to what still remains. The mirror never judges. It is important to remember, the mirror never judges. It does not shame. It simply reflects what is. Our role is not to fight the reflection or to run from it. Our role is to look gently, to open our heart to what we see, because in that honest seeing, in that soft and open gaze, compassion is born, and with compassion comes transformation. The cracks where light enters, this practice brings wisdom. It teaches us that suffering is not our enemy, but a doorway to awakening. As we walk this path, we begin to see that misfortune and happiness are not opposites. They are part of the same whole. Like day and night, they dance together, each giving meaning to the other. Neither joy nor sorrow lasts forever, but both are needed for balance. When we embrace this truth, life becomes richer. We learn to walk through storms with steady feet, knowing that the rain will pass and the sun will rise again. The mirror once feared becomes a trusted guide. Living fully awake. This way of seeing is the heart of Zen. It calls us to live fully, to be awake in each moment, even when it hurts. Zen invites us to meet life as it is, with courage, kindness, and clarity. In the end, the mirror of misfortune reflects not only what is broken, but what is beautifully whole. It reveals the quiet resilience of the human spirit, the depth of compassion, and the ever-present possibility of transformation. May we all learn to look deeply into this mirror and discover there the wisdom to grow, the strength to forgive, and the grace to love. The crack in the shell life often seems smooth on the outside, like a calm pond reflecting the sky, but beneath that surface are quiet fractures, tiny cracks that reveal the truth of our existence. When suffering arrives, it is like a crack in the shell of our comfort. It can feel frightening. It can feel like everything is falling apart. But it is through these very cracks that light enters. Imagine a clay pot. At first it looks perfect, sealed and whole. But if it remains sealed, its fire stays hidden. Only when cracks appear can the light from within shine out. So too with the human heart. Welcoming the cracks, many people fear suffering. They spend their lives trying to avoid it. They cover it with distractions, push it away, or numb it. But the Zen way teaches something different. Welcome the cracks. They are not your enemy. They are your teachers. When bad things happen, they open a door. If we are willing to step through, we begin to awaken. Breaking illusions, we often cling to a false sense of safety, a belief that if everything stays the same, we will be happy. But this is an illusion. Life flows, life changes, and sometimes it shatters what we thought was secure. When suffering breaks this illusion, it opens our eyes. A Zen master once said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Pain, then, is not just pain. It is the beginning of truth. It is the cracking open of the heart so that wisdom can enter. The seed of awakening suffering shows us the nature of impermanence. Everything passes. Nothing lasts forever. This is not a cause for despair. It is the soil in which peace grows. When we are broken by life, it may feel like the end, but often it is a beginning. Like a seed buried in darkness, something begins to sprout. Suffering plants the seed of awakening in the heart. Diamonds and pressure. A diamond is formed only through pressure. Without it, there would be no brilliance. In the same way, the spirit shines brightest after it has passed through hardship. The pressure of suffering reveals our true strength. The compassion that grows. Suffering also opens the door to compassion. When we feel pain, we remember what it means to be human. We begin to see others' struggles more clearly. The cracks in our heart become openings. Letting the world in, this is why the gentlest souls often carry the deepest wounds. There's a story of a Zen monk who lost everything in a fire. At first, he wept, he grieved, but later he sat quietly and smiled, saying, "The fire burned what I loved, but it also burned away what I did not need." Loss became his teacher. The right question. In hardship, we often ask, "Why me?" Zen asks a different question. What is this moment showing me? Instead of fighting the pain, we can observe it gently, like watching clouds pass in a vast sky. When we stop resisting, when we meet each crack with tenderness, something beautiful happens. We awaken. The cracks do not make us weak. They make us real. They reveal the fire within. They teach us that suffering is not punishment. It is invitation, an invitation to see clearly, to love deeply, and to live with open-hearted wisdom. So when pain comes, as it surely will, do not run. Pause. Look into the mirror, and let the light come through the cracks, cracks that awaken. This gentle attention softens the heart. Awakening through suffering means accepting life exactly as it is, with all its joys and sorrows. It means seeing beauty in impermanence, finding peace in change. It means understanding that suffering is not punishment, but part of the natural flow of life. When the shell cracks, the old ways fall away. We stop clinging to who we think we are and open to a deeper truth, that we are connected to all beings, all moments, all life. This connection brings a peace so deep that no suffering can take it away. The doorway of suffering. Zen teaches us, suffering is a doorway, and we do not have to walk through it alone. With mindfulness, patience, and openness, we move beyond pain, into freedom. The cracks that once caused fear become paths to awakening. It is natural to want to avoid pain, but the true path is to face it with courage. When we do, we find that suffering does not destroy us, it shapes us. Like a sculptor shapes stone, the rough edges fall away. and our spirit begins to shine. The gift of difficulty. Sometimes the hardest moments become the greatest teachers. They strip away our illusions of control and certainty. They invite us to rest in the present, where all things are possible. Here, in this very moment, awakening waits quietly. When we begin to see suffering this way, it changes everything. We are no longer victims of fate, but travelers on a sacred path. Each challenge becomes a step forward, each pain a lesson in disguise. You may remember a time when hardship shook your world, and looking back, you see how it opened your heart, how it helped you grow. This is the secret of the cracks in the shell. They let the light of awakening shine through. Letting go of the small self. The Zen master Dogen said, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." When suffering cracks the shell of ego, it invites us to let go of the small self, the one driven by fear, identity, or pride, and discover the greater self, the one beyond pain and pleasure, the self that simply is. This is not easy. The cracks are painful, but they are also beautiful. Like a pot that lets the sun shine through, our brokenness is what makes us whole. Through suffering, we awaken to the truth of who we really are. Awakening through the cracks, so when bad things happen, remember the cracks. They are not signs of failure, but invitations to wake up. They lead us beyond sorrow, beyond fear, beyond separation, into vast, peaceful awareness. This awakening is not distant or mysterious. It is here, now in your breath, in your heart, in your quiet willingness to sit with what is. The cracks in your life are the openings through which awakening flows. The Zen way, sit and trust. The path of the Zen master is simple. Sit with your suffering, feel it fully, breathe into it with kindness, allow it to teach you what it will. In this way, the cracks become gateways to freedom. Remember, no shell lasts forever. All things crack, break, and fade. But what lies beyond the shell is endless light, endless peace, endless presence. Your suffering is a part of this timeless dance. Trust the process, embrace the cracks. Through them, you will find the awakening your soul has long been seeking. The quiet strength of true goodness. The path of goodness is often misunderstood. Many believe that being good should bring reward, praise, recognition, or protection from hardship. But the deepest truth is quite the opposite. True goodness is not born from desire or fear, but from pure intention. It flows naturally, like water in a clear stream, without needing to prove itself. The way of the tree. Imagine a tree standing alone in a field. It gives shade to anyone who rests beneath it, offers fruit to those who are hungry, and breathes life into the air around it. The tree does not ask for thanks. It does not seek attention. It simply gives, because giving is its nature. This is the way of true goodness. Quiet endurance. In life, the strongest people are often those who choose to be kind without expecting anything in return. They walk their path quietly, enduring hardship, yet never letting go of their compassion. They give their time, their energy, their love, not because they hope to gain something, but because this is who they are. The courage to be good. This kind of goodness is rare because it takes great courage. It means continuing to do what is right, even when the world is cold, even when life feels unfair. It's easy to be kind when things are easy, but it is much harder when pain visits unexpectedly, when betrayal stings, when goodness seems unrewarded. Drop by drop. The Buddha once said, "A jug fills drop by drop." Small acts of kindness, done without expectation, build a deep reservoir of virtue within. This virtue does not guarantee a life free of suffering. Instead, it gives strength. It makes the heart resilient. It brings quiet peace. It reminds us that goodness is not a tool for gain, but a path to freedom. So when you feel broken, when the world feels unkind, when suffering knocks gently or harshly at your door, remember the cracks. They are not your weakness. They are your opening, and through them, the light of wisdom, compassion, and awakening will shine. The quiet strength of goodness. When a person acts with true goodness, they release themselves from the chains of selfish desire. They no longer measure their worth by the rewards they receive or the recognition they earn. Instead, their happiness grows from within, rooted in the simple joy of helping others. The monk and the insult. There is a story of a monk who lived many years ago. He traveled from village to village offering help where it was needed. One day he was insulted by a local man who resented his presence and mocked his silence. The monk did not respond with anger or defense. Instead, he bowed gently and said, "Thank you for showing me a new way to practice patience." This is the essence of goodness without expectation. It is not weak, it is not passive, it is strong, alive, transforming even challenge into opportunity. It touches the world softly, without attachment to the outcome. Goodness and non-attachment. In Buddhist teaching, this way of being is closely tied to non-attachment. When we cling to results, to praise, to success, or even to the avoidance of pain, we trap ourselves in suffering. But when we act simply because it is right, we are free. Free from the grasp of gain and loss, free to love without fear. True virtue arises when the heart is clear. Like a still pond reflecting the sky, it does not grasp, it does not reject. It accepts what comes and offers what it can. The shift in perspective. The good person does not ask, "What will I get?" but rather, "What can I give?" This one shift in perspective changes everything. It opens the door to peace, not after hardship, but within it. Many ask, why do bad things happen to good people? The answer is not found in fairness or punishment. It is found in life's deeper flow, where each experience, no matter how painful, is a chance to practice kindness, patience, and wisdom. Goodness as a light. When goodness is practiced without desire, it becomes a light in the darkness. It does not force or preach. It simply shines. It helps others see the way, not through strength of will, but through quiet example. It inspires not with noise, but with presence. This kind of goodness softens the one who gives it. It protects the heart from bitterness. Even in suffering, the good person remains centered, grounded in compassion, rooted like a tree. In this way, goodness becomes a kind of strength that cannot be broken. It is not loud or proud. It is steady. It is sure. It grows slowly. Like the roots of a great tree reaching deep into the earth, weathering all seasons without complaint. The path of true virtue is not about perfection. It is about honest effort, about choosing kindness again and again, even when it is difficult. Letting go of outcome. It means letting go of the need to control outcomes and trusting that right action has a power of its own. When the heart is free from expectation, joy flows naturally. This joy is not fragile. It is not shaken by loss or failure. It is deep, steady, like a hidden spring that never runs dry. A Zen master once said, "The flower does not ask for applause, it simply blooms." So too does the person who lives with true goodness. They bloom quietly, offering their fragrance to the world without demand. The everyday path in daily life. This means being kind without counting favors, giving without expecting thanks, loving without holding back. It means meeting hardship with an open heart and continuing to walk the path of compassion. Sometimes this path feels lonely. The world often values fame and power over quiet goodness. But the wise know true peace comes not from recognition, but from inner harmony. The freedom of giving. Freely goodness without expectation frees us from the endless cycle of wanting and disappointment. It teaches us that happiness arises from within, from living in alignment with our highest values. When we let go of the need for reward, we open to a deeper connection with all of life. We begin to see clearly. All beings share the same wish, to be happy, to be free from pain. This awareness brings humility. It softens judgment. It opens the heart to empathy. It reminds us we are all part of the same web, woven together by kindness and compassion. The gentle way forward. The practice of goodness without expectation is a lifelong journey. It requires patience, courage, and daily commitment. But each step brings more peace, more clarity, more joy. In moments of struggle, remember the quiet tree that stands through every season. Remember the monk who smiled at insult. Remember the flower that blooms without applause. These are the teachers of true goodness. They show us how to live with grace, with strength, with kindness. Not for reward, but because it is the way of the heart. As you walk your path, let go of the need for recognition. Offer your kindness freely, and watch how it transforms your life and the lives of those around you. In this simple giving without expectation, you find something greater than reward. You find freedom. The Bodhisattva's burden, why the kind often carry more. The Zen master looked out at the silent faces before him. Some were tired, some masked quiet pain. All carried questions that had lived in their hearts for years. He spoke softly. You may wonder why those with gentle hearts seem to face the hardest tests, why those who walk kindly are often met with storms. Let us sit with this question, not to escape it, but to understand it more deeply. The silent path of the Bodhisattva. In Buddhism, there is a word, Bodhisattva. It means one who, even after gaining deep wisdom, chooses to remain in the world of suffering to help others awaken. These beings of vast compassion do not live for comfort. They live in service. They walk in quiet patience. But the path of the Bodhisattva is not reserved for saints. It lives in everyday people. You see it in the woman who gives care, though no one sees her pain. You see it in the father who labors endlessly to protect his family, asking for nothing in return. You see it in the neighbor who always shows up when someone is in need. These people carry a quiet burden, the burden of kindness, the heart that holds. The Zen master paused, let the silence breathe. Then he said, to carry the weight of others' sorrow, you must have a strong heart, and sometimes that heart breaks. Not because it is weak, but because it holds so much. Good people often absorb pain. They do not pass it on. They do not seek revenge. They do not cry out for praise. They feel deeply, and they transform silently. This is the invisible labor of the compassionate. They carry more not because they deserve more suffering, but because some deep part of them has chosen to help carry the world. Why the kind suffer more? You may ask, but why? Why does the kind person suffer more? It is not punishment. It is not cosmic unfairness. It is a sign of spiritual maturity. The universe often entrusts the kind with deeper trials, because their hearts are strong enough to hold them. This is not a call to become a martyr. Buddhism never tells us to abandon our own needs, but it shows us this truth. Those who walk the path of love will sometimes walk alone, and sometimes they will walk uphill like a candle. The master said, A bodhisattva is like a candle. It gives light to others, even as it melts in silence. But its flame touches lives. Its warmth brings comfort, and in that giving it lives fully, even in its quiet fading. You may wonder, if I do good and still suffer, then why do good at all? That is a fair question, a question born from deep weariness. But here is the answer. Goodness is not a bargain. It is not something we trade for protection. It is a choice. It is who we are when we awaken. Strength beyond measure. A tree gives shade even to those who throw stones at it. That is not weakness. That is strength beyond measure. Some may call such giving foolish. But in the eyes of the awakened, this is wisdom. Why? Because such giving purifies the heart, and a pure heart is not shaken by the winds of the world. You are seen. The Master said, when you suffer as a kind person, do not think life has betrayed you. Instead, ask gently, perhaps I am being shaped into someone stronger, someone softer, someone more awake. Many do not see what you carry. But the Dharma sees, the path sees, life sees. Every quiet act of patience, every moment you choose compassion over anger, every tear you cry alone after giving everything, none of it is lost. Even the Bodhisattva feels this ache. You are not alone. The quiet army. You walk a path walked by the great ones before you. But do not forget to rest. Do not forget to breathe. Even a bodhisattva must pause. Return to stillness. Let the silence thank you. Let the moonlight see you. Let the wind carry your kindness forward. Know this. You are part of a quiet army of souls who serve without recognition, and one day, even the heaviest burden becomes light. Because the heart expands, the soul grows, and what once felt unbearable becomes the very thing that lifts others. You are not weak. The Zen master bowed his head and said, You are not weak for feeling pain. You are not foolish for choosing kindness. You are not wrong for caring deeply. Your suffering does not mean you are lost. It means you are alive and beautifully, deeply human. The strength that endures, quiet resilience in a noisy world. The room was silent, but something had shifted. The people there had not found every answer, but they had found something better, understanding. The Zen master smiled softly. Let your kindness remain, even when the world does not return it. Let it bloom, even if no one waters it. This is the way of the Bodhisattva, the quiet strength of the good. And with that, he closed his eyes, as if to say, in silence, all truths are heard. In the stillness, we seek strength. In the quiet space of the present moment, the mind often searches for strength. It wants something solid, something unshakable, especially when life is full of sorrow. But the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, does not deny the suffering of life. Instead, it shows us how to endure it without bitterness, without despair. The tree that stands through storms. Imagine a tree standing through countless storms. Its roots reach deep into the earth. When fierce winds blow, it bends. But it does not break. So too must we grow our roots, roots of understanding, roots of compassion. Then when hardship comes, we do not fall apart. Strength is not the absence of pain or struggle. It is the courage to face what is, with open eyes and an open heart. Suffering as a teacher, the Buddha said, suffering is universal. Everyone, no matter how good or wise, experiences pain. But it is not the pain that shapes our life. It is our response to it. We can meet suffering with anger, with denial, with despair, or we can meet it with mindfulness, patience, and deep understanding. In quiet meditation, when the mind begins to settle, we see clearly. Clinging to expectations is the root of much suffering. We want life to be fair. We want the pain to end quickly. But the Dharma teaches us that all things are impermanent. When we accept this, we find a strange kind of freedom, allowing space for pain. True strength arises not when we resist reality, but when we allow it space to be. It is not about pushing the pain away, but sitting with it, and in that space, finding something precious, presence. To be fully present with our suffering is an act of great courage. In doing so, we transform pain into wisdom. Compassion, even for ourselves. The Dharma teaches compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. So often we judge our own pain. We criticize our weakness. But the Buddha's path invites us to treat ourselves as gently as we would a dear friend in the midst of sorrow. This self-compassion softens the heart. It shields us from bitterness, and as we heal ourselves, we become a wellspring of strength for those around us. Equanimity, the gentle balance. There's a beautiful teaching in Buddhism, equanimity, a calm, balanced mind that remains steady through pleasure and pain, gain and loss. It is not cold detachment, but warm acceptance of life as it is. When we develop equanimity, we do not lose our humanity. We stay tender and alive, but we are no longer tossed like a leaf in the wind. This steady heart is true strength. The Bodhisattva's choice. Consider again the Bodhisattva, the one who chooses to stay in the world, not to escape suffering, but to help relieve it. Their strength is not physical might, but spiritual resilience. The strength to face suffering with a heart wide open. We may not carry the weight of the world, but we all face our own storms. The Dharma encourages us to build resilience not by closing off, but by opening, in wisdom, in love. Freedom from bitterness, endurance without bitterness is a profound gift. When we let go of resentment, we free ourselves from the chains that bind the spirit. This freedom is the root of lasting strength. Mindfulness, the daily practice of strength. Mindfulness is the key. When we observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, we create space to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. This is how strength grows, quietly, patiently, day by day. When fear, sadness, or frustration arise, mindfulness invites us to ask, where is this feeling? What is it trying to teach me? By turning toward our experience rather than away, we come to know it. And through knowing, we are freed. Resilience and rest. There is a saying in Zen, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. This is the heart of resilience. Life will bring us down, but the strength of the awakened mind is to rise again, with new eyes and a gentle heart. And strength also means knowing when to rest. The Dharma reminds us, rest, stillness, and self-care are not signs of weakness. They are wisdom. When body and mind are weary, rest restores us and makes us strong again. The strength of the awakened heart walking the middle way through suffering. The Buddha taught the middle way, a path that avoids the extremes of self-denial and self-indulgence. In practicing this path, we learn to avoid harshness toward ourselves and toward others. This balance creates a foundation of patience and kindness, qualities that sustain us through the inevitable storms of life. When we come to understand the interconnectedness of all beings, our personal pain becomes part of something larger, a vast web of shared experience. This awareness dissolves the isolation that suffering often brings. In knowing we are not alone, our strength deepens. Suffering as a teacher, the Dharma, encourages us to see suffering not as punishment, but as a teacher. one that awakens both compassion and wisdom. We do not seek out suffering, nor do we accept injustice passively. Instead, we face hardship with clarity and courage, open to what it has to teach, and choosing to respond with love. Strength, then, is not control or dominance. It is harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the natural flow of life. In the small things, strength is built. The path of Dharma is not reserved for grand acts. It is found in the smallest of moments, a deep breath, a kind word, a single moment of silence. These small acts build a reservoir of strength that carries us through even the hardest days. As we walk this path, we begin to see true strength is quiet and steady. It is not loud, not boastful. It is humble, patient, and enduring. The refuge within. In moments of deep difficulty, the teachings of the Buddha offer a refuge, a place where the heart can rest and find peace. This refuge is always within us. Strength through the Dharma is the strength of the spirit, the ability to face life's storms with courage, to transform suffering into wisdom, and to hold space for compassion for ourselves and for all beings. Clarity and calm. When the mind is clear and the heart is open, no hardship can break the deep calm that arises from understanding and acceptance. This is the strength of the awakened one, a strength that shines gently, lighting the path through the darkness. The journey is not easy, but it is meaningful. It is the strength to live fully, with kindness and courage in every moment, from why me to what now. When suffering knocks on our door, many hearts cry out, why me? It is a question born of pain, of confusion, and a longing for fairness. But the very act of asking, why me, can keep us trapped, bound to the past, to what we cannot change. In Zen we learn, clinging to that question is like holding a thorn. It only causes more pain. Instead, we are invited to ask a new question. What now? This is not a dismissal of suffering. It is a doorway. What now asks us to respond, to act wisely, to move forward with grace. The river cannot be stopped. Imagine standing at the edge of a river, watching the water flow. You cannot stop the river. You cannot undo its path. You can only choose how you step into it, how you move with its current. This is the essence of what now. Pain is not a curse. Suffering is not a punishment. They are moments that call us to wake up, to live more deeply, to see more clearly. Ego wants answers. Awareness wants presence. Why me is a question of the ego. It wants certainty. It wants reason. It seeks to protect itself from the messiness of life. But life is not always simple. It is vast and mysterious, filled with causes and effects beyond our vision. When we release the need for answers, we begin to touch the freedom that lies beyond suffering. Mindfulness as strength. What now asks us to be present, to face what is here with gentle attention, without running or resisting. When we do this, we find a stillness within us, a space where pain does not overwhelm, but simply is. This does not mean we pretend everything is fine. It means we accept that sometimes life is hard. And in that acceptance, we find peace. Peace is not weakness. This peace is not the absence of feeling. It is not resignation. It is the strength of the awakened heart. To live with what now is to live with wisdom. It means choosing kindness for ourselves and others. When we stop asking, why me? Logically, we stop blaming. We start healing. Letting go like a tree. In winter, think of a tree in autumn losing its leaves. It does not ask why. It simply lets go. In the silence of winter, the tree rests, gathers strength, and waits for spring. So too can we let go of what we cannot change, and in the quiet, gather our strength for the life yet to come. letting go of why me, stepping into what now. So too must we learn to let go of the questions that trap us. The mind that clings to why me is like a bird caught in a cage of its own making. To open the cage, we must gently loosen the bars of doubt and anger. Then we find freedom, not in answers, but in the stillness of the present moment. The power of what now. What now? This quiet, shifting question changes everything. It turns suffering into a teacher, pain into a doorway. It guides us away from despair and toward hope. When we ask, what now? We become the authors of our own healing. We no longer seek meaning outside of ourselves. We begin to cultivate peace within. Even in the hardest moments, we may find that pain becomes the soil where our deepest growth begins. A lantern through darkness. When you feel lost in suffering, try to quiet the mind that asks, why me? And instead, breathe into what now. Let this question be a lantern in the dark. Each step taken with what now is a step toward awakening. A practice of presence, patience, and compassion. Resilience that does not break. The question, what now, builds a kind of strength that does not shatter in the storm. It asks us to live not in search of fairness, but in search of fullness. To be alive, even in pain. As we move beyond why me, we begin to discover that hardship is not the end. It is a threshold. In the silence after the storm, what now becomes the quiet voice that helps us rebuild, forgive, love again. It asks us to be gentle with ourselves and to open our hearts even wider. The hidden gift of pain. So when hardship comes, remember the quiet power of this simple shift. Let go of why me and step into what now. Here lies the beginning of peace, strength, and true freedom. Look closely, dear friend. The wound you carry is not a mark of failure. It is a gift, wrapped in the soft, mysterious folds of life. The teacher beside you. So often we see pain as the enemy, something to fight, to flee, to resist. But suffering is the teacher who sits silently beside you, waiting, not to harm, but to guide you toward something greater. When bad things happen to good people, the heart naturally asks, why me? This is the human question, born from a longing for justice in a world that often feels unfair. But wisdom invites us to look beyond the question, beyond the craving for reasons, and instead to be present with what is. The compassionate soul, the kind soul, the one who carries compassion in their heart, is not shielded from sorrow. In fact, they may feel life's pain more deeply. This is not a curse. It is a reflection of their openness, their readiness to live with eyes and heart fully open. Their pain becomes a window into the vastness of human existence. In Buddhist thought, every experience, even the painful ones, is a step on the path. Each hardship is a call to awaken. The mirror of the wound. When suffering touches you, it calls forth the strength buried beneath your grief. It invites you to meet yourself fully, to see your own light beyond the darkness. The wound becomes a mirror. It reveals your true nature, not a victim, but a living, breathing being, capable of kindness, courage, and healing. And from this space of deep acceptance, even the sharpest pain begins to soften. Growth in the darkness. You might ask, how can pain be a gift? Imagine a seed buried in the dark, heavy earth. Without the pressure, without the struggle, there would be no growth. So too the hard times in your life are like the earth that holds that seed, shaping your resilience, gently deepening your wisdom. The strongest people are often those who have walked through darkness and still chose to rise. They do not deny pain. They carry it gently, letting it transform them. The path of the Bodhisattva. This is the path of the Bodhisattva, the awakened heart that does not reject suffering, but holds it with compassion and clarity. Transformation is not sudden. It comes slowly, like dawn breaking after the longest night. You learn to see beneath the surface. You begin to trust the unfolding. What looks like an ending often becomes a beginning. Your inner flame. The goodness you carry within cannot be destroyed by hardship. It may flicker, dimmed by pain, but it is never gone. Like a flame shielded from the wind, it waits. Nourish it with kindness toward yourself and others, and it will burn brighter again. The thread that connects us all suffering connects us. It is the thread woven through every human life. When you open your heart to your own pain, you begin to open to the pain of others, and this shared knowing becomes the birthplace of compassion. It is the energy that heals wounds, that softens what is hardened, that brings peace where bitterness once lived. So do not turn away. Do not lose yourself in blame or despair. Breathe into this moment and ask, not why me, but gently, humbly, what now? This is where healing begins. The obstacle is the path, a meditation on suffering and strength. These emotions, grief, confusion, anger, while natural, can quietly bind us tighter to our suffering. Instead, breathe deeply. Let go of what you cannot change. Acceptance is not giving up. It is the quiet courage to meet life as it is, without illusion, without resistance. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, our craving for life to be other than it is. When we grip too tightly to how things should be, we suffer even more. But when we learn to flow with the river of life, even its turbulent currents can carry us forward. Good people, hard things. The truth is, bad things happening to good people is not a punishment. It is not a cosmic mistake.